thatmovieguyUK.
Very rarely a Netflix film actually catches my imagination and I'm like, I really want to watch this. Obviously last year I would definitely say that Annihilation was the best of the Netflix films, and it kind of came out around the early half of the year. With Dan Gilroy, his latest film, Velvet Buzzsaw, has been released on Netflix today, the 1st of February, and it is his follow-up film from the critically acclaimed Nightcrawler. For me, Nightcrawler wasn't necessarily the film I was looking for. I felt like it was very glitz and glam of what Gilroy was trying to show, but at the end of the day, it just didn't really pack the punch that I was looking for. But once I saw the trailer for Velvet Buzzsaw, I was severely intrigued. Even just the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal was playing a critic was enough for me to go and see this film. Obviously, it was released at Sundance Film Festival this week, and it received very mixed reviews, as expected. But we're here to talk about what do we think. The premise of Velvet Buzzsaw: after a series of paintings are discovered, a supernatural force then ensues revenge on the people that are allowing these pieces of art to be sold for greed and the benefit of them. And very interesting, bloody, satirical madness ensues. Velvet Buzzsaw is the story of greed, art, materialism, and the human psyche. We go through this amazing plethora of satire, a beautifully flowing film from Gilroy, and we are learning a lot more about the art world than we should know. Obviously, some comparisons have come from Ruben Östlund's The Square with this film, and you can feel it. It feels like a very Americanized version of what Ruben Östlund would normally make in films like Force Majeure or The Square. We see the darker elements of our humanity and how the revenge of this paranormal entity takes over and, well, gets them. It's just purely magical, and that's what I truly enjoy about this. This film can be very pompous, and if you aren't exactly into the pompous kind of film, this isn't going to be for you. I noticed today, even on Letterboxd, there's a lot of vlogs for it not going so well. I saw a lot of 2s, a lot of 1s. I disagree. I honestly do. I really just dug this film a lot more than I expected. Gilroy brings a lot of messages into this film where everything comes back to haunt you, which is a very big reoccurring thing. We see a lot of this happening throughout the whole film, how art should be actually given to everybody and not just for the lucky few. And he just gives more of an insight to this art world, which you don't really always know. As I've mentioned, you don't really know how much money is involved, how influential critics can be to the value of the price of an item. You see this a lot through Jake Gyllenhaal's character and how he deals with various people within the museums. Very intriguing how it all pieces itself together. I don't really know much about how the art world works. I enjoy art, I like going to galleries, but you don't necessarily know the ins and outs, and Gilroy gives more of a portrayal of it, but obviously in his own way it's obviously not this bloody what actually happens. Horror element of this film, while it is very gory and it has very imaginative death scenes, it is very old-fashioned in its way. It's very similar to Tobe Hooper's Funhouse, where we have a very elongated section of character development and the actual story, and then all of the good stuff happens at the back end of the film. It kind of follows the same kind of aesthetic where the build-up is very interesting, and I believe that the dialogue that we receive from all these characters, like between Toni Collette, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Russo, it just builds and builds up this ambiotic mystery that of what are we actually watching? Is this actually going to be a horror? And once the horror elements kick in, you're just like, wow. There are so many death scenes, without obviously spoiling it for you guys, that I just utterly just enjoyed watching them visually. I know that sounds pretty fucked up, but still, there's just a lot more going for this film than what a lot of people will tell you. Dan Gilroy really wanted a Robert Altman kind of cast where everybody's intertwined and they're all connected in different ways. We have people like Jake Gyllenhaal, Zanny Ashton, Toni Collette, Rene Russo, John Malkovich, Natalie Dyer. There's just so many characters that have connections in various different ways, and it just adds to the odd quirkiness of Velvet Buzzsaw. Jake Gyllenhaal as Muff Vanderwalt is utterly insane. I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal, even though he was portraying a critic, could have taught me a lot about criticism. I really enjoyed his pompously. I enjoyed just his approach to everything and how he became such a fake character when he was in these situations. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people put a persona on when they are within their artistic boundaries. You go to film festivals and you have to big yourself up a lot more than where you actually are, otherwise you're not going to get into stuff and you're not going to make the connections that you want. It happens, and I can really connect with Morph. It happens. Rene Russo wasn't necessarily the character I was looking for. She is obviously the center point of the connections of all the characters, but I felt like her character had a lot more purpose within Nightcrawler. You accepted her greed and what she actually wanted to succeed within her life in that film, but here I just didn't really get her character as much. The big question is, do I actually prefer Velvet Buzzsaw over Nightcrawler? I would say probably yes. Even though I must say the photography in both films are very different, I think the contrast between night and day is something that Gilroy was going for. He shoots LA in such a very beautiful way, and obviously there's so much taxation going on when you go and film in Los Angeles. It's actually interesting to see that he's actually filmed 2 films in LA now, and he just shows a very different world than we normally see, and his vision is always interesting. His photography is very different to what you normally see. But one point, as I said, the fluidity in this film is really interesting. It's like weird how we follow the characters around, and it's like very ghostly. And you don't normally see that in film these days. But Gilroy really has a very old-fashioned sense to what he goes for, but he's always focusing on greed and materialism. And I don't mind that as a reoccurring theme. I think Velvet Buzzsaw really kind of showed that message a lot more than what Nightcrawler did. I think like Nightcrawler goes and pushes the boundaries of how you succeed in life. And Velvet Buzzsaw really can show you, well, life can bite you in the backside at any time, even with monkeys coming out of a canvas. So yeah, Velvet Buzzsaw. Honestly, if you have time, go watch it on Netflix. It'll be interesting to see what people say. It's probably going to be a very divisive film for 2019, no doubt, but I had a very good time with this movie. Yes, I did. So, all of my information is below. Feel free to continue on the subscribe bandwagon. I enjoy more subscribers. It's very nice. Thank you. And keep sharing, like, whatever, dislike, do whatever you want. And as we normally say on this channel, diolch, danke, obrigado, merci beaucoup, arigato, dankeschön, bitteschön, all the shuns. And please don't think I'm too pompous with Velvet Buzzsaw, because I ain't.